For those who don't know who Dimitri is, or who I'm referring to when I say Dimitri, it's a character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series. Had like what? There was like one or two episodes of him in like the first season. But in this, Dimitri was basically a student who wasn't really the best. Just he fucking sucked. So what does he do? He starts copying decks that that was considered like pro within the academy. Like you first see him copying like Professor Crowler, I think was the name. He started copying his Ancient Gear deck and so on and so forth. To the point where it's like, hey, let's copy Yugi's deck. I'm gonna win. Get sacked by Jaden. Now I say Dimitri's in the meta because there's a lot of people who are so over competitive that they start copying whatever YCS, National Championship, World Championship deck there is and starts playing it. Now, a lot of these decks that get played, or a lot of these decks they copy, are worth a crap ton of money. Obviously. Because they're like good cards, you got cards that are worth this much, and this much. It's gonna stack up and it's too damn high. The price of these decks are a extreme amount. And I'm not talking about the prices in general. I'm not complaining about the prices. That's not what this is about. Well, maybe about maybe just about a little bit. And you'll see why. The reason I say that is you start copying it and then what? Either you're still not good because a lot of people that know that that's what's there, they're going to try to find a way to counter it, so you're still going to lose, or the ban list starts coming out and a good portion of your stuff, or like the important stuff in your deck that you ran, got hit. An example of mine, a friend of mine decides to start getting more competitive, and he goes and does what he needs to do to get Dragon Rulers, the whole Dragon Ruler deck. Could now be like Dracossack, Big Eye, 3 of each of the big dragons, and this was before this format. And he gets them all, I think, about a month and a half before the list comes out. So I think it's November, somewhere in November last year. And he does pretty good, and and he knew how to run them and everything. But it's he gets all these, and then what happens? Dragon Rulers go to 1. Dragon Ravine got killed with fire. They took a fucking flamethrower to this field card. 6 Cents got banned. Return from the Different Dimension got banned. And how salty would you be if that happened? Now, if I copied a deck like that and I spent all this money to get a top tier deck and that happens, I'd be pretty damn pissed. And a lot of times people start they get these decks without even realizing that fact to begin with. You spend all this money, and then what's going to happen? You're out a bunch of money on cards that you can't play in a deck. They neutered your deck. What the fuck can you do? Well, one, you can start understanding the fact and possibility that that's going to happen. Then 2, wait till the next format comes out to see what's going to get hit before you start spending all this shit ton of money. You need to buy this deck, or play, just play a simple deck that you like. People people like decks, but they throw them off because they declare them bad or no longer good. And it's what? I'm pretty sure if you did your research enough and you did what you had to do a deck that you like to run, even if it's not in the meta, I'm pretty sure it's a good deck. An example, I have a Synchron Quasar deck. Whatever. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that I haven't looked here on YouTube for videos on builds and everything, but I did my research on this. I literally looked through multiple videos, multiple people's way of running them, and while in those videos, yeah, there was some questionable stuff. It's like that's how they chose to run it. If that's how they were confident or comfortable running their decks. So I'll do a deck profile of this too, and in the video when I do the profile, in the description I'll leave the links to the other videos that I watched to help me make this. Like, now I knew in general what I wanted to do with this deck, what the simple things are. I had a few blockages in, like, how do I want to staple it together, and etc. etc. That's why I looked up on here on YouTube and I started watching what other people were running. Now, I do have a meta deck, Evil Swarms. I didn't go out and buy all these. Someone asked me, hey, would you trade these for the Evil Swarms? I'm like, you know what, fine. You're a good friend. I know you'll do well. Well, I know how much the Gravekeepers meant to you. So yeah, I'll trade you my Gravekeepers for the Evil Swarms. And I didn't even care. He was a good friend, so I allowed it. But, like, and it's pretty simple on how to build Evil Swarms. I didn't even bother copying. But it's like, and even then, so yeah, I have a meta deck. I went an alternative route to get these. They just kind of came my way, and I got them. Plain and simple. Well, I still think this needs to go 1. I run 3. I still need to think it goes to 1, because it's too damn much. Back on topic. But, so yeah, like I said, I don't play competitive meta. If I go back and forth between decks, it spices up the fun. I like the synchro deck because I've loved synchros ever since they came out. Now, a lot of you are probably gonna be bitching about synchros left and right now, but I don't give two shits. Shits, if you want to bitch about it, that's your fucking problem. I am confident in my skills. I am comfortable with this deck. I don't go out and just copy whatever random decks are. Now, a lot of people don't do this either. If this isn't about you, then stop worrying. If this is about you, just still shut the fuck up and listen, because it might give you some insight. I had to get that out of my system. I don't think it's logically right to start copying other players' decks, because that's what started with, because you were salty enough to pay all this money just because you were lacking confidence in yourself, or you start getting into the high bit of the meta, and start bitching when certain things get hit. Well, it's like, these decks were so good. They were so, at times they were so challenging or overpowered, broken, whatever you want to say, to the point where they were gonna hit them. That's not my fault. It's not everyone else's fault. It's your fucking fault. You played a deck, you copied a deck that was bound to get hit at some point in time. Just because at one point they hit it with something doesn't mean at one point, like the Dragon Rulers, they hit the babies. Well, the babies shouldn't even come out to begin with in TCG or OCG. But that's just a matter of opinion. And then you think, oh, well, they hit this, and I can hit him more. Well, look again. Spellbooks got hit with Judgment, and now Fates to 1. Who knows what else they're going to hit. So before you start copying decks, before you even decide to know what deck you want, start with a deck that you like. If it's a deck that you like, and even if that's I understand there are people who play meta decks because they like the deck. It's a deck they love. They see it, yet they understand, they get a general feel of it. They love it. It's like their love child in cards. I guess I don't know how you want to go about it. But give it a try. Start with the deck that you love in general. Stop, take a break from the meta, and try something else for a change. I do. I've got meta, and I got rogue. I go back and forth between them. Keep my options open. That's just what I do. But on that note, thank you for watching. Click responsibly. Do what all it is you have to do. I don't care. I don't expect this to change. It's probably not going to. But, understand what you're going to get yourself into when you decide to do what you're going to do. Understand every and all possibility is probably going to come your way when you do stuff like this.